Hello guys, welcome back to the book Quiller. In 1998, two young entrepreneurs, Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, sat in a small office working on an idea that would eventually change the world of money forever. That idea became PayPal. But back then, nobody believed it could work. Why? Because it was something completely new, something that had never been done before. This is what Peter Thiel calls going from zero to one, creating something truly original, something that moves the world forward. So, guys, welcome to this audiobook summary of Zero to One by Peter Thiel, a guide for entrepreneurs, innovators, and dreamers who want to shape the future. So, get ready to learn the secrets of going from zero to one. Chapter 1: The Challenge of the Future. Every great business starts with a secret, a truth about the world that most people overlook. Author begins this chapter with a question that seems simple, but it's extremely powerful. The question is, what important truth do very few people agree with you on? Why does this matter? Because if everyone already agrees with you, you are probably working on something ordinary. But to build something extraordinary, you need to think differently. You need to create something new. Author introduces two kinds of progress, two ways the world moves forward. The first is horizontal progress, also called globalization. This means copying things that already work and spreading them everywhere. It's going from 1 to n, adding more of the same. Think about it like this. When China builds cities that look like those in the US, or when a company creates another Facebook clone, that's horizontal progress. It's copying, not creating. The second is vertical progress, going from 0 to 1. This is about doing something completely new, something no one has ever done before. This is innovation. For example, the invention of the first computer, the first airplane, the creation of Google's search algorithm when everyone thought search engines were already solved. These were not copies, they were leaps forward. Here's why this matters. Our future depends on technology, not just globalization. Globalization is about making the world more similar. But if all we do is copying existing systems and scale them globally, we will hit limits, like limited resources and environmental strain. That's why author says the real challenge of the future is innovation. We need to build technologies that create new possibilities, not just repeat old ones. For example, imagine if every country started consuming energy the same way America does today. The planet wouldn't survive. So, we need new energy technologies. That's 0 to 1. For startups, the challenge is clear. Don't just copy what others are doing. Ask yourself this: what valuable company is nobody building yet? If you just create another social network or another delivery app, you are entering a crowded race to the bottom. Competition kills profits. Instead, aim to build something unique, something so different that you become a monopoly in your own niche. That's where the real value is. Author shares an example from his own life. When he co-founded PayPal, the original idea was to let people send money using Palm Pilots, a device that's ancient by today's standards. Later, they pivoted to email payments. Nobody was doing that at that time. That innovation, email-based payments, become the foundation of PayPal's success. Chapter 2: Party like it's 1999. During the late 90s, the internet was the new gold rush. Everyone wanted in. Startups popped up everywhere, promising that their idea would revolutionize the world. Investors poured money into these companies without asking basic questions like, how will you make money? What problem are you solving? Companies like pets.com became famous example. Their business model was selling pet supplies online at a loss, but because it had a .com in the name, investors loved it. By 2000, the bubble Hundreds of companies collapsed, billions of dollars were gone overnight. Silicon Valley overreacted. People believed the bubble happened because of 4 big mistakes. So they swung to the opposite extreme and created 4 new rules. Here's what they thought. First, make incremental advances. Big visions were considered dangerous. Everyone believed, don't think big, start small. Second, stay lean and flexible. Instead of making plans, people started saying, just experiment, iterate, and pivot. Third, improve on competition. Monopolies were seen as bad, so founders aimed to compete in crowded markets instead of dominating a niche. Fourth, focus on product, not sales. Sales and marketing were seen as wasteful. The motto was, build it and they will come. On the surface, these rules sound smart, but author argues they are wrong, or at least incomplete. Author shares his own experience. PayPal was born during this bubble. Back then, the company's first idea was to let people beam money between Palm Pilots. Yes, those old devices before smartphones. It sounds futuristic, but not many people had Palm Pilots, and even fewer needed that feature. So PayPal pivoted to email-based payments. Suddenly, the idea clicked. People needed a simple way to send money online, and PayPal solved that. While hundreds of other startups died, PayPal survived and grew. Why? Because it focused on real problem and had a clear plan to dominate its niche. The dot-com crash didn't mean big visions were bad. It meant bad businesses with no substance were bad. PayPal proved that big ideas can work if they solve real problems and if you execute with a plan. The real danger isn't thinking big. The danger is thinking like everyone else. Airlines compete fiercely. They fight for the same customers, keep cutting ticket prices, and in the end barely make any money. In 2012, the entire US airline industry made just $37 billion in revenue, but their profit was only 37% per passenger. That's brutal. Now compare that to Google. Google dominates search. It's a monopoly in its space. In the same year, 2012, Google made $50 billion in revenue and had huge profits. See the differences. Competition is a race to the bottom. Monopoly is a path to stability and progress. Chapter 3. All happy companies are different. Author borrows a line from Tolstoy. All happy families are alike. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. He flips it for businesses. All happy companies are different. Each unhappy company is unhappy in its own way. What does this mean? Simple. Successful companies don't follow the same formula. They succeed by being unique. Unsuccessful companies, on the other hand, usually fail for the same boring reason: competition. They fight over the same market, undercut prices, and eventually destroy each other. Author argues that the goal of every great business should be to build a monopoly, not compete. Now, monopoly sounds like a bad word, right? We think of great corporations crushing rivals. But author says monopolies are actually good for innovation. Why? Because when a company dominates its market, it can focus on long term, invest in better products, and think creatively. Competition, on the other hand, is destructive. It forces companies to fight on price, cut corners, and burn resources just to survive. Chapter 4. The Ideology of Competition. If competition is so harmful, why do we love it? Why do we compete so fiercely? In school, in careers, and in businesses, even when it makes us miserable. Author calls this the ideology of competition, and it's everywhere. From the time we are kids, we are taught to fight for the best grades, the best schools, the best jobs. We think competition makes us stronger, but author says it usually makes us worse. Because when you are obsessed with beating others, you stop thinking for yourself. You don't ask what's truly valuable. Instead, you ask, how can I win the fight? That mindset pushes startups into crowded markets. They say things like, "We are the Uber for dogs," or "We are the next Facebook for books." They copy existing ideas and hope to compete better. But in the process, they stop creating anything new. Author explains that competition isn't just an economic fact, it's an ideology that blinds us. When companies fight head to head, they imitate each other. They slash prices, burn money, and fight over scraps. No one steps back to ask, what if we didn't compete at all? Even in Silicon Valley, founders claim they are unique, but when you look closely, they are all chasing the same user with the same business model. Contrast that with PayPal. Author's company didn't jump into a crowded market and fight. It created a new one, secure online payments through email. At the same time, no one thought this was a big deal. That's why PayPal had space to grow without heavy competition. And that's the real difference. Great companies create instead of compete. Chapter 5, Last Mover Advantage. We have all heard the phrase first mover advantage. People believe that if you are the first to enter a market, you win. But author says that's a myth. Being first doesn't guarantee success. What really matters is being the last mover, the company that dominates the market so completely that it stays on top for decades. MySpace was the first major social network, but where is it now? Facebook came later and became the last mover in social networking. That's the power of being the last mover. Author explains that every great business is built to last. A company becomes valuable not because of short-term wins, but because it can generate cash flow far into the future. In fact, the value of a business today depends on how much profit it will make in the next 10 or 20 years. So, if you want to build something truly great, you need to ask, will this company still be around and dominating in 10 years? PayPal followed this principle. When it started, author was not thinking about quick wins. He wanted PayPal to become the standard for online payments, and that long-term vision is what made it successful. So, how do you create a last mover advantage? You build a monopoly in your niche and expand from there. You create something so unique and powerful that no one can easily copy it. Google did this in search. They were not the first search engine. There were many before them, but they built the best and then scaled it globally. Now, Google particularly owns the search market. The real lesson is this: don't just aim to start fast, aim to finish strong. It's not about being the first mover, it's about being the last mover. The one that builds a business so great, it defines the future of its market. Chapter 6, You Are Not a Lottery Ticket. Do you believe success is just a luck? That building $1 billion company is like winning the lottery? Many people do, but Peter Thiel says that's the biggest lie entrepreneurs tell themselves. You are not a lottery ticket. Success isn't random. It's built on planning, thinking big, and creating something unique. After the dot-com crash, Silicon Valley adopted a strange mindset. Since so many startups had failed, people began to think the future was unpredictable. They believed luck mattered more than strategy. As a result, founders stopped making bold plans. They played it safe, stayed small, and relied to hope. Author says this thinking is dangerous. If you treat life like a lottery, you will never take control of your future. Great businesses don't happen by accident. They happen because someone imagined a future, made a plan, and worked relentlessly to make it real. Look at PayPal. When authors and his team built it, they didn't think, let's just launch and see what happens. They had a clear goal, become the standard for online payments. That was not luck. It was a plan backed by hard work and bold thinking. The same is true for Google. It didn't become the world's leading search engine by chance. Larry Page and Sergey Brin had a clear vision of organizing the world's information better than anyone else. So here's the truth. The world isn't just chaos. The future can be shaped by those who believe it's not random. If you want to build something great, stop hoping for luck and start planning for success because you are not a lottery ticket. Chapter 7. Follow the money. Have you ever wondered where the real money is in business? Author answers this in chapter 7 with simple idea. Most of the money does not come from a little bit of success everywhere. It comes from a few big winners. Author explains that venture capitalists understand this well. When they invest in startups, they know most companies will fail. A few might do okay, but one or two companies will return the entire fund and more. That's why investors follow the power law. A small number of companies create almost all the value. This rule doesn't apply only to investors, it applies to entrepreneurs too. If you are building a business, don't aim for a small win. You need to build a company that has the potential to dominate its market. That's where real wealth is created. Author uses PayPal as an example. In the early days, PayPal was expensive to run, and for a while it looked like a bad bet. But once it scaled and dominated online payments, it became massively valuable. The same goes for the companies like Facebook and Google. At first, they didn't make money, but when they become leaders in their markets, their value skyrocketed. The mistake most founders make is spreading their efforts too thin, trying to chase every opportunity. Author says that's wrong. Focus on the one idea that can make your company a monopoly in its space. So remember this, the future belongs to those companies that can become the best at something, not the ones that settle for being okay at everything. If you want to follow the money, focus on building a business that can truly dominate. Chapter 8. Secrets. Do secrets still exist? In a world where everything seems to be on Google, it's easy to think all the big ideas are already discovered. But author says that's wrong. There are still secrets out there, hidden truths that most people have not noticed. And if you want to build a great business, you need to find one. Author says there are two kinds of secrets. Secrets about nature and secrets about people. Secrets about nature are truths about the physical world, like scientific or technological breakthroughs. Secrets about people are truths that others don't see, like an unmet need in the market or a unique way to solve a problem. The problem is our culture doesn't encourage secret hunting anymore. Schools teach us that all the answers are in textbook. Companies tell us to follow best practices, and when something is hard, people assume it's impossible. Author says that mindset kills innovation. Great businesses are built on secrets. Google had a secret in the early days that search engines could be much better if they ranked pages by links instead of just keywords. That secret turned into a monopoly. PayPal had a secret too, that people would trust email-based payments even when most experts thought it was too risky. Author asks us to think about this. What important truth do very few people agree with you on? That's the kind of secret that leads to a breakthrough. So if you want to create something valuable, stop assuming everything is sold. Start looking for secrets. Because the future belongs to those who find what others can't see. Chapter 9. Foundations. Every great building stands on a strong foundation, and every great company does too. In chapter 9, author explains why the early decision you make when starting a business will shape everything that comes later. Most people think you can fix problems as you go, but author warns against this. He says bad decisions in the beginning are like cracks in the foundation. They get bigger over time. So, what does a strong foundation mean? It starts with the people you choose and structure you set up. First, co-founders. Author says picking a co-founder is like getting married. If you choose the wrong partner, it will lead to fights, lawsuits, and failures. PayPal is a great example. Author and his team worked well together because they shared a mission and trusted each other. Many startups fail because founders fight over control or vision. Second, equity and roles. Author stresses clarity from day one. who owns what, who makes which decision. He says equal ownership is often a sign that nobody wants to lead, which can cause chaos later. Third, culture. Culture starts early. If the first hires are weak, if the first hires are weak or have different values, if the first hires are weak or have different values, the company's culture will never be strong. People hired people who were obsessed with the mission of creating a new way to pay online. That passion became part of the company's DNA. Author's message is simple: get the foundations right, like team, structure, and culture, because you can't build a monopoly on a shaky base. Great companies are planned, not patched together. Chapter 10: The Mechanics of Mafia. Author calls great companies a kind of mafia, but not a criminal way. He means a tight-knit group with loyalty, shared mission, and total commitment. Why is this so important? Because startups can't compete with big companies on money or perks. The only way to win is by building a strong, united team. Author says that early PayPal employees were not just co-workers, they were like a family on a mission. They worked long hours, not for paycheck, but because they believed in changing the future of money. This sense of belonging made them powerful. In fact, many PayPal alumni later started billion-dollar companies like Tesla, LinkedIn, and Yelp. That's the strength of a true startup mafia. How do you create this? Author gives three big ideas. First, hire people who share the same mission, not just people who want a job. At PayPal, every employee believed in creating a new world of digital payments. Second, make sure roles are clear. People should know exactly what they own and why it matters. That avoids fights and keeps focus strong. Third, build culture with rituals and trust. At PayPal, they had inside jokes and traditions that outsiders didn't understand. It made the team feel special and united. A startup should feel like a mission-driven cult, but a positive one. If people join just for money, they will leave for more money. If they join for the mission, they will fight with you to the end. That's the power of a mafia mindset. Chapter 11: If you build it, will they come? We have all heard the phrases, if you build it, they will come. Peter Thiel says this is one of the biggest lies in business. Building a great product is not enough. People have to know about it, want it, and buy it. That's where distribution, sales and marketing comes in. Author explains that even the best technology fails without good distribution. He gives an example. Many engineers think a great product will sell itself, but that almost never happens. PayPal didn't grow just because it was a clever payment system. It grew because the team worked hard to distribute it. One smart move PayPal made was offering $10 to every new user and $10 for every referral. This viral strategy made millions of people sign up. Without that, PayPal could have died like many other startups with great ideas but no users. Author says sales is not just about cold calls. Every business needs a distribution plan. For example, Tesla did not rely on dealerships. Elon Musk sold cars directly to customers, building a brand people loved. That was a sales strategy, not just great engineering. The lesson is that don't just ask, how can I make something amazing? Ask, how will I get it to the people who need it? In this world, the best product does not always win. The product that gets the best distribution wins. Chapter 12: Men and Machines. When we talk about technology, many people imagine a future where machines replace humans completely. Author says this is a wrong way to think. The future is not about man versus machine. It's about man and machine working together. Author argues that computers are powerful, but they can't think like humans. They are good at analyzing data, but they can't make creative leaps or judgments the way people can. Humans, on the other hand, are not great at processing huge amounts of data quickly. So the real progress happens when both strengths combine. He gives the example of PayPal. Fraud detection was a huge problem. At first, PayPal tried using only computers to stop fraud, but hackers kept finding loopholes. Then they tried using only humans, but it was too slow. The real solution was a combination. Computers detected suspicious activity, and humans reviewed the case. This human plus machine system was unbeatable. Author also mentions that the best businesses use technology to empower people, not replace them. For example, Plantir, a company Thiel co-founded, helps government agencies and companies analyzing massive data sets. But it doesn't make decisions for them. It gives humans the insights they need to make better choices. The big idea. The future belongs to those who design systems where humans and computers complement each other, not a world where one wins and other loses, but a partnership that creates something far greater than either could alone. Chapter 13. Seeing Green. When everyone was excited about green energy, author saw something different. He says the clean tech boom of 2000 is classic lesson in what not to do as an entrepreneur. Billions of dollars went into solar panels, wind energy, and other green tech ideas, but most companies failed. Why? Because they didn't follow the principle of building a monopoly. They all rushed into the same market with the same ideas, creating brutal competition instead of unique solutions. Author gives the example of Solindra, a company that raised over $1 billion to make solar panels. It seemed like the future, but the cost of producing panels was high, and Chinese companies made them cheaper. Solindra went bankrupt, even after receiving huge government support. He explains that the green energy startups failed because they lacked differentiation. They didn't start small and dominate a niche. They went after big markets from the start, where everyone else was also trying to win. Author's lesson is clear. Just having a good cause or a big market is not enough. A company must be 10 times better than its competitors in something specific. The takeaway. Don't build a business just because it sounds important. Build one that is different, focused, and hard to copy. Chapter 14. The Founder's Paradox. Founders are strange people, having qualities that are completely opposite yet exist in the same person. For example, founders are both insanely confident and deeply insecure. They believe they can change the world, but at the same time, they constantly question themselves. They need both traits, confidence to lead and insecurities to keep improving. Author points out that successful founders often seem extreme. Think of Elon Musk. He took an electric cars with Tesla and rockets with SpaceX. Another paradox, founders are often visionaries and control freaks at the same time. They dream about the future, but they also obsess over the tiniest detail. Steve Jobs is a classic example. He imagined a world where technology is beautiful and simple, but he also cared about the exact shade of grey on a laptop. Author's main point, these contradictions are not flaws, they are features. To build something truly new, a founder must think differently from the crowd. And that often means being a little unusual, even polarizing. In the end, the founder's paradox reminds us great companies come from people who don't fit the mold, and that's exactly why they succeed. Author leaves us with a challenge. The world still has secrets waiting to be discovered. The next big thing won't look like what we already know. So ask yourself, what valuable company is nobody building yet? So guys, thank you for listening to this summary of 0 to 1. If you enjoyed it, keep exploring ideas that takes us forward, because the future depends on people